It started like any other Tuesday in September. The clock on my phone said 4:32 a.m., and, like usual, I wanted to stay in bed a little longer, but I pushed myself to get up. I'm Laurel Thorne, a third-grade teacher, and these early morning runs had become my time to clear my head before facing the busy day ahead with my 24 energetic students. What I didn't know was that this morning would change everything. In just 11 minutes and 43 seconds, I would experience something that would make me question everything I thought I knew about life. My running shoes sat neatly by the door, just like my late father had taught me. He was in the military, and everything had to be in order. I stepped outside into the cool, quiet air of early morning. The street lights were still on, casting long shadows, and I could hear a car in the distance. My watch beeped. 4:45 a.m. It was time to run. 3 years ago, after my divorce from Mark, I'd started running as a way to reclaim something purely mine. In these solitary hours, I wasn't a failed wife, an overworked teacher, or a disappointment to anyone. I was just Laurel, moving through the world one step at a time. That morning's route was my usual 3-mile loop past the Presbyterian church, around the corner by Mrs. Henderson's blooming hydrangeas, and down the gentle slope to Maple Street. The familiarity was a balm, a rhythm as steady as a heartbeat. I was lost in thoughts of the solar system lesson I'd planned for my students when I noticed the van, white, unmarked, and idling on the corner of Maple and Church Street. It stirred something in my gut, but this was Millbrook, Connecticut, a town where bad was almost an urban legend. With headphones delivering Matt Maher's lyrics about God's grace, I dismissed my unease. It's strange now how that melody felt like a foreshadowing. Then it happened. A patch of black ice, hidden by a broken water main, sent me spiraling. One moment I was running, my breath clouding the cold air. The next, the ground vanished beneath me. They say time slows in moments of crisis. It's not quite true. It's more like time expands, capturing every detail in agonizing clarity. I felt my feet lose grip, my arms flail, and the sickening inevitability of impact. There was no pain, only the sound of a melon striking pavement, my skull meeting concrete, and then a curious sensation of floating. At 4:53 a.m., my heart stopped. Patricia Weber, a retired nurse and fellow jogger, found me moments later and began CPR at 4:57. The ambulance arrived at 5:02, but during those 11 minutes and 43 seconds, I was somewhere else entirely, a place that defied comprehension and left me with a message for humanity. Crossing the threshold, the first thing I noticed was the silence, not just an absence of sound, but a profound stillness that absorbed the very concept of noise. I was hovering about 15 feet above my body, watching Patricia perform chest compressions with precise urgency. Her mouth moved, likely counting, but I heard nothing. My body lay crumpled, one shoe partially untied, my purple jacket askew, blood pooling beneath my head. And yet I felt no fear, only a detached curiosity, as if observing someone else's tragedy. Then I saw them, my hands, or what replaced them. They glowed with an ethereal luminescence, trailing soft light with every movement. My entire being shimmered, composed of colors beyond earthly description. Strange how vividly I recall them, yet lack words to convey their essence. The ambulance lights flashed silently below. EMTs moved with practiced urgency. I wanted to tell them I was fine, but I was already drifting upward, drawn by an unseen force. Above me, a light emerged, not harsh like the ambulances, but warm and inviting like the purest embrace distilled into radiance. As I ascended, the physical world faded. My body below grew transparent, like a reflection on water being washed away. In its place came colors that carried meaning and emotion, a blue whispering infinite peace, a gold resonating truth, a white imbued with wisdom. They weren't just visible. They hummed with a frequency that realigned my essence. The tunnel and the presence. I entered a tunnel of light, a corridor alive with love. Music surrounded me, a symphony woven from every hymn, lullaby, birdsong, and whale call I'd ever known. Each note carried understanding, awakening me to a level of awareness I'd never imagined. Then came the presences. At first, whispers on the edge of consciousness. Gradually, they became tangible, familiar, echoes of loved ones long gone. My father's strength, my grandmother's wisdom. But beyond them was something greater, a presence so vast, so radiant. It made every earthly conception of divinity seem like a child's drawing of the cosmos. Time dissolved as I stood in its presence. It knew me completely, every version of me, every hope, fear, and prayer. Communication was instantaneous, pure understanding flowing into my consciousness. It conveyed one word, beloved. In that single expression was the entirety of my existence. Scenes unfolded before me. Earth, beautiful and fragile, spinning in space. Currents of energy shifted around it, heralding profound changes. The next 18 months will bring a convergence, the presence conveyed. I saw weather patterns shift unpredictably, the Earth's magnetic field waver, and humanity wrestle with division and fear. Yet, amidst the chaos, points of light appeared. Individuals awakening to love and unity. The presence showed me two potential futures. One where fear ruled, leading to conflict and restriction. The other where love prevailed, catalyzing a transformation beyond anything in recorded history. The choice approaches, it said. Humanity stands at a crossroads, a message for humanity. I drifted through an abyss of light and dark, suspended between realms. The world I knew, with its laws of time and space, was gone, replaced by a boundless, shimmering void, where my thoughts were not confined to words, but to pure, undiluted understanding. In this place, I was not just a woman. I was a fragment of the universal consciousness, glimpsing the threads of existence that wove the fabric of reality. And then, the presence. It wasn't a being in the traditional sense, more like an overwhelming, radiant energy that pulsated with wisdom far beyond human comprehension. There were no faces, no voices. There was only light, and in that light, a truth unfolded.
The dates appeared before me like burning sigils. March 15th, July 7th, and November 23rd. At first, they seemed arbitrary, just numbers floating in the ether. But as the presence shared its vision, I understood. These were no mere days. They were markers of humanity's collective choices, the moments when the world would tilt toward either salvation or destruction. March 15th was the first shockwave. The foundation of the old world would crack, a ripple that would spread through society, unsettling the lives of billions. The presence showed me the global unrest, the demonstrations, the wars, the hunger for power. I saw cities consumed by chaos, governments failing to protect their people, and leaders scrambling to maintain control. Amidst it all, the drones, so familiar in the skies, hovering like silent predators, would be everywhere. They would monitor, record, control. They were no longer tools of surveillance for the military or police. They were the eyes of the new order, watching every movement, every conversation, every whisper of rebellion. I saw the streets littered with the marks of control, digital billboards advertising the new world, promising peace through security, offering safety in exchange for submission. The people, too numb to resist, accepted these assurances. But within the undercurrent of the chaos, there were those who were awakening, their minds igniting with the truth. I saw families divided, friends torn apart by the temptation of the mark of the beast. This wasn't just some ancient prophecy, it was happening now. It began as a simple thing, an implant, a chip embedded under the skin, perhaps sold as a means of convenience, paying for groceries with a mere gesture, unlocking doors with a swipe of a hand. But soon, it became clear. The chip was a leash, a tether to a larger system, one that monitored thoughts, tracked actions, and fed information into the machine of control. I saw leaders who had once been charismatic figures, now looking more like puppets, standing at podiums, promising peace, but secretly serving a darker agenda. The mark would become mandatory. With it, the forces of fear would tighten their grip. Those who resisted, those who rejected the chip, would be hunted. The drones would come for them first, hovering overhead, with their cold mechanical gaze sweeping over the crowds, looking for those who refused to conform. But it wasn't the technology itself that would destroy humanity. It was the way the technology was wielded. The presence showed me how the digital age, the rise of AI, the algorithmic control over everything from politics to personal choices, was being manipulated by unseen hands. Governments would use the network to track, divide, and conquer. Social media, once a platform for connection, would be twisted into a tool for surveillance, broadcasting every thought, every emotion, every rebellion to those who wished to suppress it. I saw a world where the human spirit was at war with its own creation. But even as the machinery of control tightened, July 7th arrived. It was not the Savior Day, as some might have hoped, but a beginning. I saw humanity waking up, slowly, painfully, but with a fire that could not be extinguished. People began to realize the illusion they had lived under. I saw protests rising across the globe, not just for freedom of speech or against economic disparity, but for the right to be free from the technological prison that had been built around them. I saw underground movements, small and scattered, beginning to form. These were the awakened ones, those who could see through the veil of control. They gathered in secret, whispering about the mark of the beast, the drones, the surveillance states. They spoke of a time when technology had been a tool of connection, not oppression, when humanity had been free. But it wasn't enough to merely resist. The presence showed me that the power of these small groups was in their intention. A single act of kindness, a moment of love shared in the chaos, could be a beacon to others. The drones above might watch the streets, but they could never monitor the human heart. And then came November 23rd. It was the final test, the moment when the old world's darkness would rise to its peak. The mark of the beast would be fully integrated into society. The technological grip would be almost complete. Those who accepted it would be offered false peace, false prosperity. They would walk into the arms of their oppressors, blind to the chains being wrapped around their souls. The drones would become more than watchers. They would become enforcers. They would be the first line of defense for the system, the cold, mechanical arm of the New World Order, ensuring that no one could step out of line. But even then, there would be hope. The presence showed me the end of the vision, the choice humanity would face. The control of the mark and the drones was not absolute. There would be a rebellion, a spiritual rebellion. Not one led by armies, not one of violence, but of awakened souls who could no longer be enslaved. These souls would not be defined by technology, but by something far more powerful: love, compassion, and unity. They would transcend the fear that had bound them for so long and rise up, not in war, but in awareness. In the face of drones, in the face of surveillance, in the face of leaders who served darkness, there would be a light that began with the smallest of actions. A single soul standing tall in the face of tyranny, choosing truth over the lie. And that light, I saw, would spread, quietly at first, like the flicker of a candle in the dark. But eventually, it would become a wildfire that no drone, no algorithm, no leader could extinguish. The presence's final message echoed through my being. Fear feeds the chains, but love will break them. Do not fall into the trap of surrender. Your soul is free, and every small act of defiance, Each choice of love over fear ripples out into the world. Every moment is a decision, and with each decision, you have the power to awaken others. Even now, even in the face of drones, surveillance, and control, your light is enough. Every soul that awakens is a lighthouse to the lost. Do not underestimate the power of your choice. As the presence faded, a sense of urgency gripped me. My body was returning to the world, but I was different. I was no longer just a witness. I was a participant, and the world I returned to was on the cusp of something enormous. The drones were already in the sky. The chips were already being handed out. But I knew, deep in my heart, that the true battle was not one of machines, but of minds. And the light within each human heart, no matter how small, was the force that could change everything. Returning to life. As I descended, the light faded but left its warmth within me. The cosmic music softened, replaced by the harsh reality of the physical world. Pain rushed in as consciousness returned to my body. Voices clamored around me. "We've got a pulse," someone exclaimed. Hours later, lying in a hospital bed, I watched the sunset paint the sky in colors that felt like echoes of the realm I'd visited. My purpose had changed. I wasn't just a teacher anymore. I was a messenger, entrusted with guiding humanity through the challenges ahead. The next 18 months will test us, but they also hold unprecedented opportunities for awakening. Each of us has a choice, to let fear guide us or to choose love. That choice will ripple through the fabric of reality itself. The time to choose is now.